Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 25th of September. So, looking at the Eurodollar first, and yesterday, well, we pitched up, put a new high in, rolled over. This morning, well, we're having a little shove at the moment. Yesterday, I may add, we didn't quite get the weekly pivot, and I do wonder if this hasn't got the legs today, whether it will come back and retest that area and maybe this time hit the weekly pivot. It was just fractionally away, but it missed. Now there was a divergence at the highs here as well. Bit of a sharp old retracement through that divergence, but all the same, divergence sitting there. We'll see how this moves, see if it breaks further. If it breaks the weekly pivot and starts moving down, okay, it's got the 50 next, but maybe you'll see a little bit more of a correction. But I'm still bullish. Can't help myself on this euro the last couple of weeks. It's keep on putting high lows, higher highs in. It's not done anything different to that. As long as it doesn't break the weekly pivot, it's still another higher low if it continues up. So struggling a little bit. However, you come down to the 60-minute time frame here, and well, we've hit the daily pivot today already. Now, what's it going to be? Are we going to charge up through the daily pivot at some point? It may have got overbought on the shorter time frames for a while at least. This morning, I just will sit and wait for a little while, but could be pulling back towards that weekly pivot. We'll see. The line in the sand may be simply the trend line across the lows here. If I can pop it on, that'd be good. Here we go, let's try that. So the line in the sand will be somewhere around about that point. Now I have to be a bit careful because it's got support, but where to if it does, well, it may just bounce off that weekly pivot. If I was short, I'd be looking for the S1, maybe even the 60-minute 200 there, which is a possibility. My preference, though, would be to see a little consolidation and a break towards the upside, in which case I may join that towards yesterday's highs there, maybe the R1. That's the euro. The pound. So the pound, similar picture in terms of its well, it's done some weird old stuff here. It's shifting up, but on this picture that we're looking here, the daily as well, I guess that was the first decent retrace on Friday, but maybe consolidation. There's a lot of risk because it would appear that the cabinet now sort of giving it a couple of weeks with the current plan, and if that doesn't work, they're going to change plans. So, well, it could be the signs of something else. And when you come down to this 4L, it has broken the prior low, so it has certainly killed that original trend that was running up. That was so nice. Bigger picture, it's probably okay, and as I said, shorter time, well, it looks like it could even better sort of run off south back towards that 4 hourly 100, maybe even more. Certainly it isn't looking the picture of health at the moment, this chart, so it does look weak on that from that perspective. When you're looking at it on this 60-minute chart, you can see it's quite consolidated over the evening there through the Asian session. Again, this may be one where we sort of just if I can draw a line on it, would be good. There we go. So we'll go. If we can, if we see some sort of break, let's pop it onto the current bars low at the moment. If you see the break of that low, maybe it's got a chance of coming back towards retest the S1. I'll say test the S1, but retest these prior lows. To me, it does look a bit more bitty. What would make me want to be long on it? Nothing at the moment, to be fair, because I won't be trading it. But what would make it a bit more of a long prospect is maybe if it can break through that 60-minute 200, but it's just too much of a risk at the moment. So the dollar yen, well, that's continued its gradual pace up there. It's now actually, I'll just show you the weekly here. I was just checking this morning. It's so close to retesting that weekly 200 there, so nearly there. it air kissed its weekly pivot yesterday. Always got the potential for, like the euro, just to come back towards that. But what we're seeing on this 4-hourly chart, high lows, high highs, you can only be looking for longs on it really. There may be some early signs somewhere. Actually, let's go back to 4-hourlies. There's some early signs there. There's a bit of divergence sitting there on the MACD. So it's been classically lining up with some divergence, or looking like it's going to have divergence for a long time at different points, but it's continued pushing up, and well, it would have to give me something much more of a trigger to be looking for shorting that. At the moment it's still edging up, so has got the daily pivot below. What would make you want to be selling it? Well, a breaker maybe of the lower trend line. There'll be one just below that 8 moving average, the 60-minute 8. Maybe even more conservative look below the 60-21, but it as I say, just looks weak at the moment against the US dollar, so US dollar may push up further. Aussie dollar. So still in the major downward trend here. That 50 MA last week is holding. We broke through the weekly pivot even, he says, and just finding support on the 8 and 21 moving averages, which are just crossed positively. But this is still a bearish looking old chart, and it looks pretty grim until you get down to the 4-hourlies. But even, well, we haven't broken the trend on this 4-hourly at the moment. It's just popped out on there. If we draw it, well, probably have to draw it from about there across. Actually, we may have been able to get the absolute bottom in there. It hasn't quite broken that trend, but certainly the steeper trend that's broken, and on the 60-minute time frame you see even clearer as the lower highs, low lows coming through there. So that's softened up for now at least. Really would be looking at short side opportunities on it at the moment, but from where, I'm not so sure. Maybe if you could break back up to the 50, but then it starts changing the pattern a little bit. Maybe back into the 34 would be a short side opportunity. Otherwise, again, break of the trend line there of the shorter term time frame. Okay, finally the Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar continued just softening a little bit more there, back up to its weekly pivot. It's 4-hourly wise, it may have changed the trend a little bit here. Let's just pop the trend line on if we can draw it. Maybe needs, well, certainly it's broken that one there. So it's certainly, however I draw it, I've probably drawn it quite badly, but I won't leave it there for now. I'll need to redraw that later, but certainly drifted through that, and it's more of a slight upside there, but hardly the most bullish at the moment, but it does look like it's gradually putting higher on this hourly, high lows, higher highs, so again softening against the US dollar. At the moment though, got the daily pivot below, may just drop down at some point to test that. I mean, okay, hit it early yesterday, but when it came back to it again, it was quite late on, and it may just come back and test that sort of area if it can strengthen. For it to become a bit more bullish again, well, there's a trend line that sits there along the lows there, which it really needs to break for my liking. So to become solid against the US, it really needs to break that sort of area to become back into, have the chance of pushing back down to the original lows. Right, that's pretty much it today. I did look at the news. I'm going to have a look at the news on a different bit of software. Just bear with me just 1 second, he says, as he hits the calendar page on this web. It's alright, my other computer crashed just in time to do the recording. So yeah, very little news today. We've got the Bank of Japan, 6:35, that's already happened. We've got an MPC, a Bank of England MPC member speaking at 9:40, due to speak at the Imperial College Business School in London. Well, maybe not too much, but we never know. If we see a bit of movement there, his own personal views at 9:40. and thereafter 3 p.m. consumer confidence US. So not a lot there. Right, so that is pretty much it. So have a great day. Bye for now.